So I've opened a clean version of this file. There are no textures on anything. And I'm going to start by going to Windows, Rendering Editors, Hypershade. And you'll note that when I open this, it looks a little bit different from the way it did in my last video. I've set it back to what I hope are the default settings, which should be more similar to what you see when you open your Hypershade for the first time. Before I begin making any kind of texture mapping, what I want to do is walk through the different areas of the Hypershade and what they do. This section up here contains all of my materials. Currently in the scene I've only got Lambert 1, which is the default material, this particle cloud and this shader glow. The other tabs may also come in handy. Once I start adding textures to the scene, they'll live here. You can see I've got a file node in my texture tab. That's my HDRI that I'm using for the light. Utilities control textures. And in here I've got a Place 2D node. The Place 2D node determines the placement of my file node. If I come over to lights, you'll see my sky dome light. And if I come over to cameras, you'll see the default cameras in the scene. So each of these tabs contains a different piece of information. We'll be staying mostly in the Materials tab today, but it's good for you to keep in the back of your mind what the other tabs do. This window here is one that I usually keep closed. I'm not going to use it. If it makes you happy, keep it open. This window contains a clicking list of everything that Maya has available for you to make. So if I wanted to make an AI standard surface node, I could come here and click on Arnold, and that would give me all of the Arnold materials. There's the AI standard surface. I can click on it, and that will make a new AI standard surface for me. The reason that I don't use this window is that out here, this is the graph editing section of the Hypershade, and you'll see that it says press tab to create a new node. So rather than trying to remember which submenu all of my materials are in, I can come over here, press the tab key on my keyboard and type in AI standard, and you'll see I get a list of all of the AI standard surfaces. I'll select a regular AI standard surface. The reason that that's an advantage is very simply that it is really quick to make any kind of surface material you want. I can also add a material by middle mouse dragging from the Hypershade and dropping on the object. That assigned my AI standard surface to this egg. When I'm working for myself, I would prefer not to have this Create menu here. It slows me down. If you feel the need to have it so you can see what all of the 2D textures are, by all means keep it open. You won't see me using it, but I will leave it here just as a reference for you. Instead, you'll see me mostly coming in here, pressing the tab key and typing in fractal and then making a fractal texture. Keeping this window open does take up screen space. If you close it, I'll close it, and then I'll close this bin. That means that I get more area here for my graph, which makes it easier for me to zoom in on things. Again, if you like having the Create bin, it lives in Windows, Create, and I'll dock mine back over here. So you can see it. Just bear in mind I will be doing everything by tab and typing. The graph area lets me not just create materials, but also make connections between them. I've made this fractal node. If I want to connect it to my AI standard surface, what I can do is click on one of these green out dots and drag over here. As I approach the AI standard surface material, I'll do that again really slowly, you'll see that some of its in dots change color. The gray ones will not accept the noodle that I have dragged over, and yes, noodle is a technical term. The red dots will accept my noodle, so I can drop this in the base color, and that will make a connection between the out color of my fractal and the base color of my AI standard surface. If I want to, I can delete that connection just by selecting it and pressing delete. You should also be aware that I can open up anything with a little box and a plus sign. Same thing here. That separates out my color channels in this case. Once I have the color channels separated, I can drag one of them over, and now you'll see that a different set of dots, in this case, turns green. The gray dots are still inactive. So be aware that different out attributes will connect to different in attributes. The difference is very simple. Out color consists of 3 channels: red, green, and blue. Base color consists of 3 channels: red, green, and blue. Out color R is a single channel, and when I drag it over, some things will accept only a single channel. We'll talk about why you want to make connections between nodes in a little bit. For the moment, you might just want to practice dragging things over and connecting them, and then selecting and deleting so that you can become more efficient at it. The final 2 sections of the Hypershade are this one up here. This is the material viewer. And this one down here. This is the property editor. The property editor will show you all kinds of information about the thing you have selected. If I select my AI standard surface node, it will show me my AI standard surface node's attributes. These are the attributes for the fractal. And then finally, the fractal is associated with the Place 2D Texture utility node. These are the attributes for the utility node. The material viewer will show me a preview of the thing that I have selected. I'll go back to the AI standard surface. It defaults to this thing called a shader ball. If you don't like the shader ball, up at the top of the material viewer, you can change that to a teapot. If you don't like the teapot, maybe you prefer a glass splash. You should be aware that some of these are reasonably processor intensive, and some of them are really easy for your computer to process. So if your computer is having trouble processing the shader ball, you might want to switch over to a basic sphere. No harm will come to you. We barely use the material viewer. In fact, if you wanted to get rid of it completely, you could close it. Nothing bad would happen to you. You'd have more room for the property editor, and that's the more useful window. Finally, with the material viewer, I can switch between a regular Maya hardware shade and an Arnold render. The Arnold render will allow me to preview my material using one of the HDRIs available in Maya's defaults. Again, all of these will add to the processing time that it takes to preview your material, so you may want to leave this set to hardware. That's what I'll be doing. And I'm going to turn the HDRIs, we'll just use interior color 1. And that way I can see what I'm doing and I'm not taking up a lot of time with my previews. I may have glossed over this before, but here in the work area, I am moving this around with my standard Maya camera controls. So I'm holding down the Alt or the Option key, middle mouse to move, right mouse to zoom. Last but not least, here in the work area, if I choose to rename nodes, all I have to do is click on the top of the node, like so, and now I can rename. So I will call this one my egg material 01. That's my walkthrough of the Hypershade. In the next video, I will start going through what the AI standard surface material does and why we want to use it.